Hello, good morning. Welcome back again to our lecture video tutorial on FRM 7, Module 1, Lesson number 2, Scales of Measurement. This is part 2 of our lecture series for Lesson number 2, Scales of Measurement. Now, in the last video, we talked about the continuous and discrete variables. Again, that's what I'm telling you earlier, that continuous variables have an unlimited number of values between the lowest and highest point of measurements. Values can be divided into smaller increments including fractional and decimal values. Example for this is height, weight, temperature. Now, for example, for weight, may makita 0.01 grams, 0.001 grams, between 1 and 2 grams, di ba? May makita measurements between those numbers. Mo nang gitawag siya continuous variables. Now, for discrete variables, it have a finite values or whole numbers la. Pasabot ato again, there is two types of interval, or sa quantitative types of data, it could be interval or it could be in ratio. While in quantitative type of data, interval or ratio, it can be continuous and discrete variables. While for continuous variables, ang pasabot na siya, it has an unlimited number of values. So, tanan ana, it could be between two values like 1 gram to 2 grams. In between ana, napakay pwede nga ma-measure. Like 1.05 grams, 1.010 grams, 1.9999 grams, di ba? It can be divided into smaller increments and in between values. While for discrete variables, ang sabot sa discrete variables, na siya finite values or whole number la. Dili nimo siya pwede in between sa iyang values tungaon nimo. Decimals and fractions of measurable numbers do not make sense because number of siblings in the family. It doesn't make sense if mayo ka pakianhan ka, pila man ka mo, so nga magbrugto, duha. Ayaw ko yung nagmayda 1.5 nga magbrugto, 1.5 siblings. Wala may tunga nga tao, di ba? Number of person inside the room, whole number guna always. Number of members per group, number of eggs in a basket, number of Facebook likes, di ba? Those are discrete variables. Ayaw lang kalimtin ninyo, the difference between discrete and continuous variable and discrete variable, whole number lang na siya. Wala na siya yung measurement in between the two values. While ang imong continuous variable, it can have measurements in between values. Okay? Klaro? Now, let us all remember that nominal scales are used to name or label variables. So, for example, sa nominal scales, it could be sex, male or female, color, white, brown, etc., black. Now, for ordinal scales, it have ordered. Muna ikuha na ninyo. Nominal, names. Ordinal, ordered. Ordered values. Example sa ordered values like medium, large, small, high, low, high, medium, low. Mga na ba? You can arrange it by order. So those are both nominal order scales have no quantitative values. Remember, ha? Nominal and ordinal scales have no quantitative values. They are all qualitative types of data. Now, interval scales values are arranged in order, and the difference between values is exact and quantified, but has no true zero point. Example of interval scales, ano to? Ang imo nga measurement in temperature. May da siya no true zero point because may value siya nga negative. May da makita negative 5 degrees Celsius, negative 10 degrees Celsius. While the ratio scales are identical to the interval scale, but the difference is may da siya true zero point. Like weight, may da, wala makita negative nga 0.5 grams, di ba? Wala. Because if moabot og 0 ang imong nga data, that means that walay magnitude ang imong certain type of data. Okay? It does not make sense if may kang 0 height. That does mean walay height. Di ba? Di man pareha sa interval scale nga may da 0 degrees Celsius or below that, negative. It still does make sense nga matugnaw na. Pero pag yung kang 0 height, that means walay magnitude ang imong nga measurement. Both interval and ratio scales are numeric or have quantitative values. They are expressed in numbers. Now, quantitative data can either be discrete or continuous data. So, katong quantitative data. Ano itong quantitative? Quantitative is described, is expressed in numbers. It can be interval or it can be a, what do you call that? Interval and ratio. Interval and ratio, it can be either be discrete or continuous. When you say discrete, data have finite values like whole values, number of persons in the family, number of your siblings, di ba? Number of Facebook likes. Wala na siya, 0.5 member of the family. Wala isugad. Always yun na siya whole number. While continuous data, it have an unlimited number of values, including decimal and fractional values. Example is weight or height. You can have 5.65 centimeter height. It can be 5.365 something, di ba? This is continuous data in between two data sets, like whole numbers from 5 grams to 6 grams. In between that, you can still get measure data in between two data sets or two variables. Now again, let's do this, see attached activity. I already uploaded it in your Google Classroom account, and please adjust and this suggested readings and read this. Okay? Now moving on for lesson number 3. Now for lesson number 3, we have frequency distribution. Now at the end of this lesson, students should be able to learn to organize data using frequency distribution. Later, we will be discussing kung saan ang frequency distribution. Why is it important to organize our data? Now, if you look at this picture, we have here, imagine our data is expressed in circles, rectangles, triangles, circles, rectangles, and triangles. Sabutan na, those are raw data. You get that on the field or in the internet. You have those kinds of data kitahay, di ba? Collect ka na nga damo nga data. Now, gin-ask ka sa usa ka tao, what does your data tells us? Kung sa may pasabutan yung mga data yung i-collect. If you do not analyze, if you do not organize, first step is to organize your data before you do analysis. You cannot express what those data would tell you. The first step in describing our data is by frequency distribution. Or first step is to organize or organization of our data. Now, if atong kikita ning picture, may da siya iyang gi-arrange, pila man ang rectangle, square, pila ang triangle, or pila ang circle, then you can make viable interpretation of your data. Mayroon ka nga may da upat ka rectangle sa atong raw data, may da upat ka triangle, may da upat ka circle, di ba? Mas hanay kitaon ang imong data if you organize it, ug mas madali maintindihan sa atong mga clients or sa atong mga clienteles ang atong mga data. That is what we are trying to do in statistics. We try to organize things, interpret results so that people or clients in the research field can easily understand what they are trying to work with. Now, data organization is important. Why? Because good data organization strategies are important because your data contains the keys to managing your company's most valuable assets. In our case, as students or as researchers, that is very crucial as a researcher or as a student that we organize always our data. Pag dili organize na imong data, during sa results and discussion, during sa analysis of your data, buang-buang kagod og pangita unsa man ni nga number, asa man ni nga height ba ni, weight ba ni, di ba? Magkalipo-lipo ka na kung ano may mong bubuhaton. So getting insights out of this data could help you obtain better business intelligence and play a major role in your company's success. Now in our case, ito, the technique or the secret in doing data analysis first is just by looking at your data, you can already know what kind of analysis or what is the end result that you're expecting based on your data. Wa pa nag-analyze, but just by looking at your data types of your data, you can already make inferences or you can already make decisions. Kung saan klase nga analysis akong bubuhaton ani, so ano ako pag-arrange akong data, kung saan ang different analysis nga bubuhaton, ug may kanaliwat may da ka naliwat idea ano man ang end result ani nga imo nga research or nga imong study. Amo tong technique ana. By looking at your data, looking at your title and looking at your data, you will already know what will be the outcome of your study. Because if you do not know mga ingana lang ang basic analysis or looking at your data, magkalisod-lisod ka gud og discuss if may da ka na result sa imong analysis because you do not know unsa may imong bubuhaton. Okay? So first step is to organize your data. Now usually when we collect data, they are still raw or unorganized. Nga naguna. You go to the field, for example, as foresters, we go to the field, katutag bukid, lista nato ang mga ngalan sa kahoy, usa nga species, trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, animals that is present, kuhaon nato ang ilang mga floristic measures, diversities. Now, those are raw or unorganized data. Once you are in the office na, or at your table, working na sa imong mga data, you need to organize those. Asa man nimo ibutang ang mga trees nga group, asa nimo ibutang ang mga shrubs nga group, in order for you to compare those data with each other. Dili na nimo pwede usa-usahon la. Because you cannot make viable inferences or viable interpretation of your data if dili siya naka-organize. Now, one of the basic uses of statistics is to organize raw data and consolidate them into a simple figure that expresses information like graphs or charts. Now, most ang atong nakikita, sa makita nga ni graphs, makita nga ni charts, there is always statistics behind that. Okay? It's the most convenient method of organizing data is to construct a frequency distribution table. Muna the advantage. If kikita kang mga PowerPoint presentations, what is more appealing to the eyes of your viewers, ako, mas preferred pa na ako magkita og graphs kumpara magkita og tables nga damo nga numero. Diba? Mas dali nimo ma-capture kung if naka-form siya in graph, mas dali nimo ma-capture kung unong magud ang unod anang imong gin-present. That is where statistics would come in. Okay? Because we want to interpret our data as simple as possible. So, one of the basic mo tong presentation of data is by using frequency distribution tables, graphs, or charts. Now, organizing data using frequency distribution. Now, question. A researcher wished to study the number of miles that the employees of a large department store travel to work each day. Okay? Sa kuno, question na, klaro ha? Ikaw, gihar ka sa researcher sa usa ka kumpanya. Now, imong gipastadi sa imong bossing kung pila man ka milyar, pila ka kilometro, ang mga kada empleyado sa imong nga kumpanya ang gin-travel sa trabaho kada adlaw. Ano man ang anong importante na mahibaruan niya? Why? Because the extent or the length of travel sa mga kada empleyado kada adlaw sa opisina could affect their work productivity. Kaya nga naman. Kaya syempre, mukha nag-time, pagbiyahe nila, gikan sila balay, padung sa imong kumpanya. Kinanan sila mumata temprano. The risk nila sa simbako, madisgrasya, di ba? Usa na. By having those data, that kind of data, maybe the company, if ako nga company, they can make proposals to establish kitahay ilang mga worker housing kitahay or faculty housing or work o sa ilang mga workers na housing para haranin nila sa kumpanya. Those are techniques of one nga gibubuhat sa kumpanya. But before they do that decision, before they do that project, they need to have a data. That is why statistics will come in. Now, activity. This is to gather data. The researcher interviewed each employee by asking the approximate distance the department store is from his or her home. Now we will continue with this discussion on our next part of our lecture video series because we are running out of time. Okay? See you on the next video tutorial on lesson number 2, part 3. This is part 2 of lesson number 2, scales of measurement.